these political fears get stoked is a long-standing process. After the presidential election in 2016, there were a lot of commentators, right, who said things like, "This is not normal. This is not the America we know." These commentators, I beg to remind you, were very white. Because for black and brown folks, nothing about that election was especially shocking. I know that white folks found that, how could this happen? How in the world could what happen? A rich white man get elected by telling not rich white people that their enemies are black and brown? You think that's new? That's like the oldest play in the playbook. That's like on page 1 of the playbook of American politics going all the way back to the colonies. There's literally no play that came before that one. That's just the one that they ran over and over and over again like a forward pass. It's just like, I don't know, let's run that one again. It seems to work. The first time it was used was in the colonial period when white people didn't even exist. And I know that sounds strange. What do you mean, Tim? White people didn't exist. Yes, we didn't. Not at least called that. We weren't called white in our countries of origin. You think Europeans are one big happy family? No, of course not. We spent most of our history killing each other and looking for the witch, but killing each other. Right? The English hated the Irish hated the English, everybody hated the Germans, not without reason. Northern Italians didn't even think Southern Italians were Italian, right? There was all this intra-group squabbling and hatred. It wasn't one big happy team called white people, but all of a sudden in the 17th century in the colonies of what became the United States, there became a need to create this category. Why? What happened? Like, did they come up with some fossil discovery that showed some scientific connection between all European peoples? No. Was there some linguistic discovery, some Dead Sea Scroll that showed that all European people were linguistically connected? No. The one thing that happened, the only thing that happened that necessitated the creation of white people, right, was that rich people can count pretty good. And the rich folks in the colonies that owned all the land looked around and they counted it up and they realized what? That they were heavily outnumbered by whom? They were outnumbered by African enslaved people and European indentured servants who were just one level above slaves themselves, and they figured eventually that those folks were going to rise up and take their stuff because they were going to realize they were all getting messed over by the elite. And sometimes there were rebellions. Bacon's rebellion in 1676 would be one example, not the only one, where folks across lines of color and continent, poor people, now called white, poor people called black, got together to overthrow aristocratic arrangements, and so now you had to create this category of whiteness to tell those poor peasant class Europeans that they're on the team with the rich, see? Because otherwise, if you don't divide them and conquer them, they may take your stuff. And so they start doing what? They start giving them a few rights, let them testify in court, let them enter into contracts, they get rid of indentured servitude in the early years of the 1700s altogether, right? They start putting poor white people on the slave patrol to keep those black folks in line. We're going to give you a gun and a badge and a horse. And white folks were like, a horse? All right then. Still don't own any land, hardly own the shirt on my back. Definitely don't own any enslaved persons, but now you gave me a little taste of power, didn't you? You gave me a little taste of authority. Not real power, not real authority. That still resides in the hands of the rich, which I am decidedly not. But you gave me a taste of it, what W.E.B. Du Bois would later call what? The psychological wage of whiteness. The idea that I might not have much, but at least I'm not black. Later on, I might not have much, but at least I'm not Chinese labor on those railroads. I might not have much, but at least I'm not Latinx. I might not have much, but I'm not indigenous, and that makes me superior to you, right? That was a trick. Rich white people telling not rich white people that their enemies were black and brown, and it worked. And those rebellions slowed and then stopped, and this new team was created. Divide and conquer isn't new. And if you know your history, you're not thrown off stride by it. You realize it's the same thing that's been happening for hundreds of years. During the Civil War era, the same thing happened, right? The rich in the South, we announced, I say we, not because I'm rich, but because I am a Southerner, my people announced why they were seceding. They weren't shy about it, and we didn't lie about it. We lie about it now. And we say things like, oh, it wasn't about racism and slavery. It was about states' rights. What right do you think they wanted states to have? So when your great-great-grandparents don't break a law that wasn't even on the books yet, so they couldn't even have come illegally had they wanted to, the fact that they then came legally does not get them any bonus points. You don't get patted on the back for not breaking a law that didn't exist, right? And I'm quite confident that had indigenous people known what was going to happen, they would have passed some immigration laws and we would have broken them. You actually think we wouldn't have broken them? Like, you think if native people had passed really hard immigration laws to keep us out, that we'd have been like, well, we're starving in England, but wouldn't want to break the laws of the nations of the Americas. Wouldn't want to break those anti-immigration, wouldn't want to do anything illegal. We'll just stay here in England and starve to death. But it was nice while it lasted. It was a nice dream. No, we would have crossed the border. We would have crossed the ocean. We would have come irrespective of the laws because we were striving for the same thing that all migrants strive for: life and opportunity and liberty and all of that. But see, that's also part of the history that we don't want to admit, because we have this blinkered notion of history as white Americans. See, black folks know how they got here. That's why I'm putting it on white. Like, black folks know how they got here. And Asian Americans, many of them know, especially if they're of Chinese descent, that many of their ancestors were brought here to build the railroads, right? And I mean, Latinx folks, particularly Chicano folks, they know they were here first, right? We stole half of their country in a war of aggression that we started on false pretense. They know that, even if we don't. Indigenous people know how they got here, but we've been telling lies for a really long time. So one of the lies that we tell is, our people came for freedom, high-minded principle, liberty. But those people, they're just coming for stuff. No, everybody came for stuff, y'all. Everybody came for, we didn't come for free. First of all, if we had come for liberty, we would have established it. But we did not. And I don't just mean for black folks and brown folks. That goes without saying. We didn't establish liberty for other European people, right? I mean, the colonies were like some of the most unfree places on the planet at that time. Like, the history of the American colonies is pretty much about oppressing black folks, stealing indigenous land, and looking for the witch.